All right, let's talk about John Carpenter's Village of the Damned, which is obviously a remake of the first Village of the Damned, which had a sequel, Children of the Damned. I really enjoy these movies. I would like to review them one day, but for now, let's stick to the Carpenter film. This was the last film of Christopher Reeves before he got into that horrible accident and paralyzed himself. It's sad to watch because you know what is going to happen to him in a short amount of time from the completion of this film. Mark Hamill makes an appearance here as the priest, coming off of his Body Bags film, which is kind of funny because John Carpenter did the two shorts without Mark Hamill, and then he brings him in for his next film. Peter Jackson makes yet another appearance here. He plays the jealous husband, which I get why he at first is like, what the hell, but why he then later doesn't immediately be like, oh my god, like this is an epidemic, everyone in town is pregnant, whatever. His character to me is just annoying. And George Buck Flower playing a drunk, which is a stretch for him. And Kirstie Alley, who, if I didn't have a horror channel, or if I had a second channel where I reviewed non-horror films, Summer School would be one of my very first reviews. It is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I could talk about Dave and Chainsaw all damn day. Maybe one day I will start another channel, talk about non-horror films, and Summer School and License to Drive and all these other fucking movies that I love so much will be talked about. But until then, I can only just mention them in passing here and say that Kirstie Alley will always be a legend to me because she stars in Summer School, one of the coolest movies ever made. When I was watching this, I noticed that there was a guy with long hair, and I was looking at him, and I was like, that's John Carpenter. I know that's John Carpenter. He's on the payphone towards the beginning of the movie. When everyone blacks out, that guy falls on the grill and just cooks. Oh my God, that guy was standing in the wrong place. I don't understand why everyone in this town wouldn't move. Like, goodbye. I wouldn't want to be in that town for one more second after that happened. I'd be like, nope. I'd be terrified that at any minute I was going to pass out while driving, or pass out in the pool, or pass out and taking a bath or a shower, or with holding a knife or cooking something or whatever. Even just standing there, you can fall from standing, hit your head, bleed out while you're out. No way. Goodbye. Adios. There's no reason I'd stay. Yeah. Cars don't blow up from rear-ending people. This happens in like every movie. Now, they say there's helium in the back of his truck, and I'm guessing that's what they're saying it off of, but I don't know. That's even a stretch. But just I see it in so many movies. I have to roll my eyes every time I see it. And I like that they actually explain somewhat why the girls end up all keeping their pregnancies. They have these dreams of them, and it just makes them want to have them. Like, the babies are protecting themselves from the inside. Basically, like, as soon as they're little fetuses, they're able to send signals and messages up to the mom, whether or not it's the babies inside or the creatures, beings, whatever the hell impregnated them, sending them signals. I don't know. I guess it could go either way, but I'm going to go with the baby thing. The babies are in there protecting themselves. Makes the most sense to me. And the fact they all go into labor at the exact same time, I think that's when the husband of that one chick who was like, nope, you cheated on me while I was in Japan, as I think where he was, comes to, it's like, okay, every single one of these girls went into labor at the same time. All right, something is clearly up. I think you should have known way beforehand, since the government was coming into town and offering $3,000 a month and all medical expenses if they can experiment and test their kids at any given time. No one protests that at all, which I find to be ridiculous. Like, we're going to experiment on your child. We're the government, and we are going to lock you into, like, letting us probe your child to whatever extent we want for money. Like, there's no way a few moms would, no way you're touching my child. Like, before they knew they were demon spawns. I mean, obviously they had a inkling of that this wasn't normal, but they weren't aware that they were going to be these, like, fucking weird albino demon kids at this point. So I just feel like at least a couple moms would have been like, oh, hell no, you ain't touching my kids. But not one of them protests. Like, everyone in the town is just money hungry. That dad sure was. Do I get double the money for my wife and my kid? Dick. When the virgin girl who, wow, that would suck for her. When she's giving birth, I don't understand why they didn't just give her an emergency C-section when she was clearly having serious birthing issues. Yeah, they had a full medical staff there, tons of doctors on the scene, and Kirstie Alley is like trying to do it herself when this girl seems to be the only one having like serious complications. I feel like they could have got more doctors over there to help out, and a C-section probably would have saved the kid. But you know, we get the one good kid out of the bunch because she dies. So good thing she did. It just seems unrealistic, but hey, it's a film. I like that anytime that they get hurt, they want to, you know, hurt them back. Like, you burnt me. Like, she gives her the soup, and it's like, I can't even imagine. I have children, and like every single fucking time that anything ever went wrong with them, like if I got mad at them or I accidentally hurt them somehow by giving them too hot a soup, like in the film, they would have the ability to make me stick my hand in a pot of boiling water, or jump off of a cliff, or jump on a fucking broomstick, or that was a gnarly kill, by the way. Awesome kill. One of my faves. Probably my favorite in the movie. But to be terrified of your own children and actually like think about murdering them, that is what's terrifying about this film to me. To not only be terrified of your child, like in the Twilight Zone, you know, wish him out into the cornfield or whatever, to then have thoughts about murdering your child and then end up taking your own life because your kid is forcing you to do it. Like, this is a horrifying thought. The movie isn't executed all that well. As I said, it's kind of paint by numbers. John Carpenter was going through the motions, contractual obligations, so you can see that. But if you mean going even to the original film, which all this film really added to that was gore and violence, which isn't a bad thing, but it just doesn't add enough to warrant a remake. I just feel like, you know, it is a horrifying story. So that's what I try to focus on when I watch these movies. As far as her killing herself, even though the kid is in another room and she, like, in her bed, like in her crib or something, and the mom's outside by herself, she either, like, once they control their mind and she made her like stick her hand in the water, does she then have like a link to her mind to make her do whatever she wants, even if she's outside the vicinity of her green glowing, then orange glowing eyes? Or can she control her at any given time, whether the psychic link had been created or not? Because when she's sitting there on the ledge before she jumps, the kid nods her head very slightly, but nods her head, and then mom jumps. So that, to me, I'm supposed to be taking that as the mom was being told by the kid, like, yes, jump, or yes, you can jump. Maybe the mom wanted to, and the kid was like, yeah, go for it, or was forcing her to. I don't know. When she was sticking her hand in the water, she seemed to be very upset about it. Before she jumped, she seemed to be in control of herself, or not at least like crying, like, oh my God, I don't want to kill myself. She seemed to be totally fine with it. So I don't know if it was an acceptance from the kid and a psychic link or whatnot, but I thought that scene was pretty interesting to think about. And kids in this film are creepy, and it's just mostly just hair and makeup kind of thing, although their eyebrows should have been also platinum like their hair. I don't know why they weren't. If their hair was all like that everywhere, it should be on their eyebrows. Doesn't matter, but yeah, it's clearly a wig on most of them, but a couple of the other ones, like the good kid, the one that ends up living, is clearly his hair. Like, they clearly like bleached his hair out to platinum white, which is very hard to do, by the way. And especially on a child. Oh my God. He must have had light hair to begin with. And they have pairs, and there's one loner kid. So this one loner kid, he's able to break away. So it's the pair, like it's the mate. Maybe it's the girl. I don't know, because Mara is their leader. They have a hive mind. They have like a queen, and they all think as one. So is it the girl that dominates the pack? Is she the alpha female? And each individual pairing has their dominant, and he's that weaker because he's kind of the runt of the litter who doesn't have his second half. Is that how he's able to develop emotions and break away from the herd and be his own thing? I don't know. Yet another thing that was cool to analyze while watching the film. And very few films do you get to see a priest with a sniper rifle aiming at children. And another really gnarly kill, even though we don't see any of it, at least we get to see the broom kill, which like goes through the window of the car, and like, it's a great shot. That's a good kill. But another one is like, just to think of having done to you is Christy Alley is her. She's made to do a Y incision on herself. She starts from the sternum and works her way up and cuts herself because she operated on the dead, stillborn, one of their kind, and so they're getting her back for it. And then they take out like a whole cop freaking and SWAT team and the whole thing. Like, I like that. That was cool. And the fact, I don't know, like the whole ending, it's fine. I like the imagery. I like that they show the waves and they show the brick, and they show the brick like being broken apart, and then beneath it, like they show that they can see into the briefcase and blow it. But I feel like as smart as we're supposed to believe that these kids are, and they do obviously show heavy intelligence, it was and I'm not saying this is like a plot hole or that I'm knocking it, because I don't think that's the truth here. What I'm gonna attribute this to is arrogance in Mara's character. Like, she's just so arrogant with her power and her ability that she just felt infallible. And so when she is trying to look into his mind, I feel like he was kind of telegraphing the fact that the building itself had importance to what he was hiding, and that's why he kept trying to get that kid out of the building. So I feel like once the cops and all of them are dead, and he's in there and he's acting weird, and he's in this building, he's trying to get the kid out, I feel like they would have been smart enough to flee the scene and then try to figure it out later, or force him later to reveal what he did, or come back for him, or whatever. Like, I just feel like it was very obvious that something was happening specifically in that location, and it just didn't fit their character. But as I said, I attribute that to just pure arrogance on her behalf. And she's a little good actress there. I liked her performance. And I also liked the little runt. Those are the only two that really got any screen time and any, focal point on them throughout the film to have any kind of development. All the rest of the kids were just kind of cannon fodder. They were just there to be there and fill up space and to look creepy and walk in pairs and in a straight line together. So they served their purpose, but they just didn't explore them enough. I feel like this could have been explored more, and there could have been more things to it, but it just was very like, get on to the next scene. There wasn't a lot of depth to anything. The film felt pretty shallow. Just felt like a carbon copy of the original, just kind of going through the script and redoing it and adding gore and adding violence and being like, okay, that's sufficient. Let's release it. So, all right, man. Now it's time for me to go escape from Los Angeles.